Hey everybody, it's Kenny K here again, and we're going to go in a blast to the past. Deadly Intruder from 1985, a slasher movie. Uh, Somewhat obscure, I guess. Um, Directed by a guy named John Macaulay. Now, there's already, when I did a little bit of research about this director, he only made two movies. This one and one in the 70s called Rattler. Yeah. So that's kind of a red flag. The movie on IMDb gets 4.2, but although they gave it a 4.2, a lot of people in the review section gave it a 5 and a 6. And if you're a slasher fan, which I am, it's sort of a must watch, they said. And 1985 is still a good year for slashers. So I thought, let's give it a try. And if it's good, it's good. If it's not good, if it's kind of on the fence about it, I can. It's another good review on YouTube, my channel. So I'm already gonna give the score. I'm giving it 4.5. So that isn't the best score. It's basically saying a 5 is always a give it at least give it a watch. Give it a watch. A 4.5 means give it a watch, but it's with a risk. So before I start, please subscribe. It's free. Uh, I'm doing this pure for fun, not for money. Like, and because then I get in a little bit of a bigger algorithm there, and comment if you have something to comment. Do movie requests for free, horror movies, and of course re-reviews. Doesn't matter, it's always fun for me to make somebody happy. So let's start talking about the movie. Although this movie had a few not super famous people, but known people like Molly Cheek. She's the lead. She's the female lead, Jessie. She plays in American Pie, Jim's mom. I believe in three movies at least. I'm not sure. At least in two, but maybe the third one too, because she dies at some point in the American Pie universe. And then also she's in Drag Me to Hell. Then you have Donnie Bonaducci, and he is playing a guy named John, and his wife's Amy. He is in the Partridge Family, sorry, and that 70s show. Stuart Whitman, he's Captain Pritchett, a cop, and he's in Tales from the Dark Side, a creep show like anthology, but also made by Stephen King, I believe, segments and Romero segments. At least I know Romero segments. That's what I know. But I think Stephen King was also involved in that. So it's kind of a creep show related anthology series. And then you've got the killer and the drifter. Now, okay. The movie is about this woman, Jessie, holding this dinner party, okay? And um, with her included, 6 people would come. Now, typical Halloween stuff, a guy escapes from insane asylum. We don't see his head, only the outfit. And the first person he kills is this mean spirited drowning kill, this woman that just woke up in her bathrobe, and he's in her house, drowns her in the sink, and meanwhile her So there's for the guys who like their nudity. There's a lot in there's two scenes in there where we have a lot of nudity. And first this one, because when he's drowning her, her bathrobe comes off and you see her boob flopping out. And when she's dead, he throws her on the ground and you see her boobs hanging out and she's dead. Okay, and there's also a scene where Jesse Malachi goes into the bathtub, full frontal nudity, with a hairy vag. um, so that's it. And then the guy, killer, takes clothes from the house to, to put some civilian clothing on. And then we go to the party. Now, before the party starts, this drifter knocks on her door and asks for some food. And she says, I can whip up some sandwiches for you. And he says, can I do something? Can I do your lawn? Because I can't get any job. And can I do your lawn? And she's like, no, 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 you don't have to do that. I'll just. Then eventually he does something. He starts to chop wood for her. And okay. Then eventually she gives him the sandwiches. And she said, enjoy them. And he says, thanks. Now, this guy, he keeps staying around the place, and at some point he also takes this. There is this shit out back, and he finds this little site. The moon shape, the half moon shaped site, like cutting the cornfields or something. And I think, okay, so before this actually happens, you have a few kills, a variety of kills, like I said, a drowning. Then you have I believe you have this mechanic. He is working underneath a car. He flattens him by dropping the car, and I'm guessing he wanted a car. Now he's in civilian clothing and he wants a car, so he flattens the guy, takes that car, and he kills two people that were going to the party, and one of them is a cop. The guy's a cop, but their car stranded, and when he's looking under the hood, he gets an axe in the back, and then his wife gets her head jammed between the hood, and he drops the hood on her. And like I said, you see, there's not a lot of gore. So when the action, you see a little bit of blood, but you don't see a lot. But that isn't the biggest problem. I mean, I'm actually sort of guilty liking Final Exam, and there's not a lot of blood in there with the kills, and there's I don't if there's some atmosphere, tension, creepy location, Halloween, also no gore. I like that. So that's what I want in the kills, and you know, and good characters, some quirky characters in there maybe. I mean, it's always fun. But then the killing stops. Now the the party begins. The drifter's still in the neighborhood watching them, and you have um, John and his wife Amy coming, and then normally these two, the cop and the two, the cop and his wife that were killed, should have they were supposed to come too, but they don't know. Jesse doesn't know why they didn't just call, and then another guy named Bob is also coming. He's actually a friend of John and Amy. A little bit like he's a single guy and Jesse's single. They try to pair them up, and eventually that succeeds. But when John and Amy want to go home, you see the drifter lurking behind them with the sight in his hands, and then it looks like he's going to kill them, but then he goes after a tree and just looks at them when they drive away. Meanwhile, Bob and Jesse are making out, but Jesse's like, he wants to stay over and sleep there, but Jesse's like, no, 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 I don't know you really. And then he says, okay, let's have dinner tomorrow and a movie, and she agrees. Then the drifter comes back. She goes to bed, and he's lying next to her, looking at her, and the movie kind of changes into this from a slasher movie to a thriller kidnap hostage movie. So the drifter is tying her up, and he he takes her to the shed, but then he falls asleep into this chair, and then he's really bad in putting knots into people's hands, because to people, I mean, she always escapes. The knots are so the knots are like this. She has this big of a room between the knots. She can just do it like this, then do it like this, and then go to the legs. It's easy. She escapes. She wants, but he cut the phone wires. He did something to her car, so he goes after her. He picks her up again, then takes her to the woods. It has a picnic basket with him. He gives her the Coke, but then he says, "No, I want the Coke. You get the Dr. Pepper." And then she's in her nightgown, and she's saying, "Please don't kill me." And he says, "Why? It's not that bad dying." And then her like gown is a little bit like this, and then she pulls it up, and he says, "No, no, it looks good on you that way." So there's this kind of rapey vibe. Basically, what the movie's trying to do is he the killer? Is he the killer? So to get you off the scent, because it's still a whodunit, but they're really trying to make him to look like he's the killer, and he's kind of unhinged because he yells at her sometimes, and then he's, you know, gentle again, and he's weird at that way. He's full of anger too, but he's also he there's something, yeah, he has regrets. And then she says, "I'm cold." They go to the house, and she unties her and says, "Don't, no funny business." And then he looks to him when she's in her bedroom putting her pants on. He sees a mirror and he punches through the mirror. Then eventually she escapes again. But do you know that stupid? We used to have that too. The chain thingy that you can put on your door for safety, that the door only opens for a crack. I mean, that's the unsafest thing you can have, because it's only a hole. It don't the thing that you slide it into. It's four like nails that are this big that are in there, and if you have a little bit of power, you just punch through the door and flies out of the wood where the sliding thing is on. And we have a door with like 5 pins, metal pins. The door is metal, and a peeping hole. And I mean, those are security doors, not that stupid thing that you zip and look. And right, you just, if you have some power, you can just knock it out. Really, really, it's really an unsafe thing to think you have. It's it's gonna be safe. I got this little thingy, this little chain. Mm. So the guy, the drifter, is pretty strong. So she escapes again through the window, and he knows this. So he hits basically through the door like this thick of wood, pure wood, not plywood, wood. So he's strength, and then he grabs her again, and he says, "I told you, no funny business." Then a guy comes to the house who's asking for directions, but then she yells help, and and then the drifter punches him unconscious, and then he ties him in the shed, and then when he's awake, he said, "You had to be a hero. You had to be a hero." He takes this saw, and then puts it against his neck, thinking he's gonna kill him. But then after that, we see that he doesn't kill him. Uh, he also at some point escapes. Like I said, he can't make a good knot, a secure tight knot, because everybody just escapes from his knots. He can't bind it, you know. So it's everybody escapes basically. But Bob, meanwhile, is trying to call her. Now, of course, the phone is off the hook and the line's being cut. And he's like, huh? And he's working in a clothing store with John. And John is saying maybe she's with Nick. And says, "Who's Nick?" "No, I'm just teasing with you. I'll buy lunch. Go, come." "No, no, no, no. Who's Nick?" "I'm just teasing with you. Come on." And then eventually he keeps calling and it doesn't work. And then we get to see the drifter talking to Jesse, and he's like, "Oh, I can't get a job. I don't have any money. My brother died. He was the only one I had." And I get because he had this military kind of jacket on. I guess he was maybe ex-military. And, he's PTSD. He falls out of this. When he gets back, the system kind of leaves him to rot. A lot of soldiers, and he's like, "Oh," and he takes a knife. He goes to Jesse. "Please don't kill me." He cuts her loose. "I never wanted to harm you. I just wanted to talk with somebody." And then she's angry at him, of course, and hitting him. "You stupid piece of shit. I thought you wanted to kill me." And she hugs him. And then Bob goes to John and Amy's house. And he says, "She's probably with Nick, right?" And then John says, "No, I told you. I'm just teasing you." And Amy, uh, she says, "There's no Nick." She says Jesse didn't date for a long time since her mother died, so no, she has nobody. Oh, then okay, she's playing games with me. She's playing games with me. Bob saying this, and oh no, she's playing games with me. And you lied to me. You lied to me. And then he starts to get Bob, and he's strong. This guy. Now we get to learn that apparently this guy is a killer. Okay, but here, okay, so spoilers, right? Okay, spoiler alert. Okay, before I start with this movie to talk about the spoilers, this movie doesn't make any sense. The ending doesn't make any sense. You have a few kills, and then like I said, the first part is kills, the second part no kills, just this kidnapping thing with the drifter and Jesse happening, and the third part is when the killer is revealed, but it doesn't make a sense. That's the twist. That's the twist. But then I'm thinking, oh no, no. So I'm giving it 4.5. The acting wasn't that bad, but and you have some variety in kills, but then going from that to that, and then from that to that, and then the reveal didn't make any sense. So I'm giving, like I said, 4.5. The positives, the acting was fairly good. Um, the movie kind of started on a good note, but then, like I said, the second part sort of shifted, and that's weird. And it got you out of the slasher mood and into this kidnapping thriller thing, and then at the end, the slasher starts again, and then yeah, yeah. So my advice is watch if you're a slasher fan. Try it just to see trying to see all the slasher movies from the 80s. If you're a guy or a woman who wants to see all the slasher movies of the 80s, this one, it's not the worst, but the story is just all over the place at some point when the changes happen. And like I said, the reveal of the killer doesn't make a lick of sense. So Bob is the killer. Now this guy escaped a few days ago. It was all over the radio, and apparently John and Amy know the guy for a long time. Apparently, so and then he got a job in a clothing store, and they know him for a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, so didn't they know he was in an insane asylum, and probably for something he probably killed somebody or hurt somebody in a horrible way, and he escaped. It was all over the radio. Now, okay, no, but John never wanted to mention. What the hell? And then John gets, killed by. He says the television's so loud. I can fix that. Puts John's head into the television set, and then kills Amy. And he's strong. He picks her up with one hand, and then breaks her neck like this. He picks her up from the floor. Then goes to Jesse's house. Then, of course, he sees the drifter, and he thinks that's Nick. So he starts to tussle with Nick. And then when Nick's down, he starts to hit Jesse. But Nick, no, the drifter is, we never learn his name, but he's strong. Like I said, he can push through. So they're like equally strong. They're hitting each other. But it looks like the drifter is actually getting the, the better hand. I mean, appears to be stronger because on top of the Bob, and he's hitting him. And but like I said, the guy in the shed is free, and he comes in, and he knows the drifter, attacks him. So he takes a fire poker, hits the drifter on the back. He falls off. Bob punches the guy goes, Jesse, are you all right? Then he dropped the fire poker, and Bob takes the fire poker, hits the guy, the guy who wanted to know who was in the shed, locked up in the shed, is hitting him to death with a fire poker. But then the drifter, then Jesse's just looking at them like, worst final girl ever. And there's a knife, a butcher knife on the ground. Instead of taking that shit, she just waits until the very end. When she wants to take it, Bob can just take it. She takes it. The drifter still charges him, but he stabs the drifter. And then eventually the police comes. Now, of course, Bob's gone. Jessie runs out of the house because she knows Captain Pritchett, because there was a cop coming to her dinner party, and she knows Captain Pritchett. She said, "You're all right, Jesse. Go in the cruiser." They go in the house. Now, the only one alive apparently is the drifter. He's taking the knife out and he's standing with the knife in his hands, and he can probably already know what's gonna happen. Cops come in, guns blazing, shooting him, boom. Now, of course, cops will. Now, the thing they should have done was drop the knife so he had a chance to drop it, but they. Okay, he's a killer. And the fucked up part is they know how the killer looks like. He has the hair color of Bob, and they have a picture of him. The drifter doesn't look. He has black hair, and he doesn't look anything like Bob. And they just shoot him down. And then we go to Jesse's dad, who's he's the boss of a construction yard, and Jesse works for him, doing the administration, and he see him talking, and Jesse's all right, and the dad says, "Yeah." After a week, she comes back working for me. I'm happy. I got my daughter back. She went through something, and then lunch lunch break. There's lunch break, and then everybody goes to they go for lunch, and then they're hitting this guy. Hey, calling him Beaver or something. Let's go for our lunch break, and he turns around. And you see it's Bob, now working in the on a house for Jesse's dad. So apparently he's obsessed now by Jesse and wants to fuck her and kill her, or just kill her. But he's obsessed, jealous, and a psychopath. So that's the ending. So it ends actually in a very downbeat ending to where the killer's still alive, probably going to go after Jesse and maybe her dad, killing her and his dad, and well, whatever, or becoming the killer's Jesse becoming the killer's bitch. So yeah, the movie is kind of. I mean, I watched the movie out and it was okay for a one-time watch, but I'm not gonna give it a five. It's the thing in the middle that they go from slasher to this kidnapping story, and it takes a while, and then Bob, the guy who everybody knows is the killer, and he's, I mean, he just escaped a few days ago, and he's working, he has a job, he knows people, he's invited to a dinner party, and that doesn't make a sense to me. So yeah, give it a watch, and if you do, if you like it or not, let me know in the comments. See you next time. Bye bye.